Once, there was an abomination who had no place in this world, a dragon crossbreed, feared by the gods, and described as an antithesis to all life. Clutching a strange doll, and truly alone, eventually this pale, white-haired girl was drawn into a cold and lonely painted world. And much later, perhaps within many layers of these painted worlds, a scaled, snake-eyed young girl becomes the last hope for humanity. We've talked at length already about the paintings, but it bears repeating. Basically, they're self-contained universes that exist within themselves, and from what we can gather, the original in the overworld is the painted world of Ariamis in Anolondo, which is protected by the painting guardians. And as any painting does, really, these paintings reflect the themes of the outside world, with a cycle of death and rebirth, just like our world. So, inevitably, just like the flame will fade, a painting will become rotten, and when this happens, the residents make the decision to set their world aflame, then escaping into yet another painted world as their world burns behind them, so that they can live on.
Ashen One, I cannot die. I have a world to paint.
This painter has no name, so we've taken to calling her Aria, and to paint a new world, she must see flame.
Those who aren't kin to fire cannot paint a world. Those absorbed by fire must not paint a world. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten, Mother.
So just as her mother was once shown flame, Aria too must have an awareness of it. So, in our fight with another unkindled, Frida, the friction of our clash sets the world aflame. Yet Aria is left wanting for one more thing.
Ashen One, thy gift of flame has taken root, and Uncle Gael will soon bring the pigment. Pigment, coloured like the dark soul of man.
Since the dark soul of man has never been retrieved from the ringed city, it follows that a painting with this dark soul as the pigment will be different than the paintings before it.
I wish to paint a picture of a cold, dark, and very gentle place. Soon, Uncle Gael will bring me the pigment.
Gael. When we first met Gael in Ariandel, we didn't really think too much of him. He's a soft-spoken, reverent man in undying service to his lady of the painting. And in many ways, Gael isn't supposed to be much more than just a simple undead, at the core of what being undead really represents. However, saying that, his 2 item descriptions back then, they revealed an unusually staggering depth to his history, because Gael has been around for a long time. He alone recalls the Way of White Corona miracle, which was something that was thought to have been lost to the ages. For long ago, when the gods still had their imprint left upon the world, in Dark Souls 1, reciting any of their miracles would conjure up these white discs. And back then, apparently, also, were these slave knights, an order that Gael was a part of. And Gael's slave knight armor, embellished with this red cloth, was once a symbol of honor. But in stark contrast to this honor, slave knights had a terrible duty. They were used as fodder in the bleakest of battles. Imagine they were the knights that were sent first to tire out the enemy, because, after all, they couldn't die. And so we know that at least one slave knight outlived his masters, for while the slave knights were never relieved from duty, Gael did eventually find refuge in the painted world, which leads us to believe that whatever entity they served, the slave knights outlived them, able to go mad, but unable to die.
My lady lives in the cold land of Ariandel. I need you to show her flame. A proper flame that will burn the rot away.
And so, this ancient, old undead found a new purpose, one that he believed in wholeheartedly. First, to save his painted world from the tyranny of Frida, and then to help his lady create a new world. this one painted with the dark soul of legend. And if there's any one positive attribute to take from the dark soul, it would probably be immortality, and perhaps this will be a painting that does not rot. But it is impossible to know exactly what kind of world will be painted with the dark soul, but I do have faith in the good of this ending, validated by one thing, Gael's character, because until the very end of time, Gael fights for this new world. He weathers countless battles, he even knows that a terrible fate awaits him. And this is a man that's been around since the Age of Fire. Now, what other character in the series can lay claim to the knowledge that represents? So given that he has the right to knowledge of the dark soul more than most characters, and given that he actually told Arya to paint this world,
I'll head off to paint. I promised Uncle Gael I would.
And that he expects us to be thankful in the end,
You will thank me when it's done.
you can conclude that his quest to find the dark soul is a noble one.
If it is the dark soul thou desirest, then seek Filianor's church at the base of the cliff. There wilt thou the sleeping princess waken. Her slumber is a deceit, a lid covering an overgrown privy, a prop to keep thee from the dark soul of thine desire.
Upon her awakening, I expect Filianor fully believed that she would see the face of her father staring back at her. Alas, an unkindled wakes her from her slumber, and in a flash of light, we are transported to an apocalyptic scene, the end of the world. What exactly happens, though, in this cutscene is very worthy of debate. Some people believe that the entire city was an illusion, and that Filianor's faith simply kept it in check, somewhat like how Gwyndolin kept the sun shining in Anor Londo. But another theory is that this flash of light takes us forward in time to the very end. Light, after all, is time. Personally, though, not only do I believe that we are transported forward in time, I think we are the only one to experience this rapid skip forward. Let me explain that. So, everyone else here, Gael, the Pygmy Lords, Filianor, Shira, it's likely they fully experienced every inexorable second of time scraping by until this point where Filianor finally dies.
Filianor, help me, please. The Red Hood is come to eat us, to eat our dark souls.
The proof that time has passed is in all of these characters. For example, the Pygmy Lords knew that Gael was searching for them. They knew long enough that he earned the terrifying mantle of the Red Hood. The Red Hood is come to eat us. Rumors like that don't just appear in one flash of light. Also, Gael's weaponry is a testament to time passing. His blade is broken and chipped, and his crossbow is stained and twisted. They weren't like that before. And Gael himself, on some level, is surprised to see that you still exist in this world.
What? Still here?
Shira, however, has been looking for you.
I've searched for thee, dark, stricken creature. I am Shira, daughter of the Duke, descendant of gods, and trusted friend to Medea. At once, I am the honor of the gods, the glory of fire, and the fear of the dark. Thou shalt not go unpunished for thy treachery, thy profanity, and thy shameless yearning.
She, too, made it to the end of the world, her soul enduring in the name of her long-lost gods. Treachery, profanity, and yearning. So, assumedly, our treachery could be our disloyalty to the gods as humans. Our profanity could be the dark within us, and our yearning is the want and will of all humans that is described in a lot of dark item descriptions.
Never would I ever forgive thy lowly kind.
Even till the end of time, she never left that dark room, unaware or uncaring that only a few dunes away, the Pygmy Lords are being devoured alive. By Gael, the final antagonist of the Dark Souls series. I see a lot of people complaining that for a final boss, we don't hear a single word about this character until the DLC of Dark Souls 3. But then, is that really so strange? As we mentioned before, Gael is much like us. He's a simple undead, characterized by an uncrushable resolve.
Hand it over, that thing, your dark soul, for my lady's painting.
The red-hooded, wandering slave knight Gael sought the blood of the dark soul as pigment for the painted world. But Gael knew that he was no champion, that the dark soul would likely ruin him, and that he had little hope of a safe return. So why do you think he led you here? To kill him, perhaps? The revelation here is that a soul can exist in the blood, which is something that shouldn't be too surprising. After all, Ariandel flayed himself to satiate a flame within a lord vessel with his blood. Those that feast upon human flesh, so rats in Dark Souls 1 for example, they've always dropped humanity, which is a fragment of the soul. And a hollow without blood struggles to be reanimated. We learnt this in the cathedral. And the Abyss Watchers also shared the soul of the Wolf-Blood Master between them. And in much the same way, the blood of the Dark Soul courses through the Pygmies' veins, yet they've existed for so damn long that their blood has long since dried. The painter needs this blood to paint her world, but how do you paint with dried blood? Well, one way is to consume it, to digest it, and make the blood your own.
Is this the blood? The blood of the dark soul.
Inflicted by the same frenzy that took Manus, the same insanity that took Artorias, on some level, Gael is still holding true to his purpose. Even now, he wonders aloud whether he's succeeded in digesting the Dark Soul. And when he sees us, he doesn't see an old companion, he only sees more blood. Broken greatsword in hand, Gael represents more than just a part of the first DLC. Instead, he exists as a true counterpart to the Soul of Cinder. He is the desire of humanity, fighting for a place in the world. He is the frenzy of the Dark Soul. He is a hollow's loss of self, and he is the souls of countless others that he's consumed in his journey. Gael died as he lived, as a slave knight, intended for sacrifice. And in the end, whether he guided us here to kill him or not, Gael's final accomplishment was consuming the Dark Soul, digesting it and bleeding it out, making the Dark Soul as whole as it's ever been since the very dawn of time.
My thanks, Ashen One. With this will I paint a world. Please tell me thy name. I would name this painting after thee. I see. We are much alike. Then I will name this painting Ash. 'Twill be a cold, dark, and very gentle place. And one day it will make someone a goodly home. I wonder when Uncle Gael intends his return. I hope the new painting will be to him a gentle home.
And so, the little universe is painted within a dying world, a cold, dark, and gentle place like the paintings before it, except this new world has the ineffable dark soul painted into its very fabric. And even when the outside world expires, whether the fire fades, whether it's usurped by a lord of hollows or an accursed undead, somewhere within the painted world of REMS, hidden within the painted world of Ariandel, tucked away in a small attic, surrounded by a burning world, is a new sanctuary named Ash. Maybe one day we'll see what this cold, dark, gentle world is like. Miyazaki hasn't completely ruled out Dark Souls 4, so I do feel like it'll be made one day. But for now, and for the foreseeable future, really, as you should have expected from Dark Souls, the ending you envision in this new world is all your own, built upon the excellence of your imagination. I know you still have questions, so do I. Soon, we'll talk about the layers of time in the Ringed City, the difference between dark sigils and the dark sign, the statues of the primordial serpents, and the stories of the locusts. This may be the end for now.
But one day, tiny flames will dance across the darkness.
I'll see you then.